chiv deraisa to get rid of your chametz. So therefore, one is not allowed to do anything before he starts. He shouldn't sit down to a nice meal beforehand. First thing should be bedikas chametz. Today, fortunately, the ladies already did most of the work for you. Really, it's. I have one ha'ara on the Shabbos Hagaz Josh yesterday, where he said that the men are responsible for bringing in the finances, but they should allot time to help out. It's not true. The men are responsible to clean the house. That's their job. Bedikas chametz is a din on the men. Bedikas chametz means taking a dirty house, checking it, and getting rid of the chametz. You're lucky that your wives have cleaned, labored hard, and scrubbed the house down, so you probably won't find much. But nonetheless, it's your chiyuv.
Turn off that camera.
Yeah, so it's your chiyuv to clean, and bedikas chametz night means to really put the work in.
So forgive me, it's before it actually gets dark?
It's by tzei sakachal.
So after Marav, you said?
So you go after Marav, yeah.
Is it preferable to daven Marav before, or is it preferable to daven Marav later to have a minyan kavua?
You don't definitely daven me before.
Well, you can either daven mincha Marav like by Shkia, and then go home and do the Bedika,
right.
Or you can daven mincha by Shkia, and go home, do the Bedika, and come back for Marav here.
Yeah, so if
Which
you
is preferable?
if you normally daven Marav later, then you could rely on it. If you
I know you
normally,
can, but I'm asking what's preferable.
What?
What's preferable?
If you normally daven Marav later?
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
Because anyways, they daven Marav earlier, shtickle. Mamash daven by tzeis.
For those of us that leave in town.
All right, so because they're davening Marav early, it's preferable to daven Marav at 9:30?
No, Al Marav you say.
Right.
So Marav it could be, but I'm saying Bedikas chametz, you're not going to lose anything really.
Okay, so that's the other question.
Yeah.
Even though you have a minyan kavua for 9:30, but Lamai says you're going to start at what 8 o'clock.
Will you finish?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be the time where you for sure be finished.
Yeah, but they'll push it. If you got a big house to check.
Yeah. So the thing is like this: Bedikas chametz. What is your chiyuv? How hard do you have to check? Do you have to spend 5-6 hours checking? Because you just look through the house. You eat Bedikas chametz. So this is the issue. See, if the house wasn't cleaned, so the Harami, then your chiyuv would be to go search out the house and mamish clean it and do a real job. That's the ikim. I don't know how it was done back then, but Mistama was a small rooms. They had a few rooms. In Bedikas chametz night, they got rid of the chametz. But today, where there's large houses and it's usually done before, so the question is, what's my chi bedika? Could be it's becheskes bodik already, wife cleaned the house very well. The rooms, there's nothing there. Could be it's becheskes bodik. So there's a whole shayla, what my chi to check it. If I have to mamish check every single spot and go through it very slowly, or I just have to go through it lightly just to make sure it was cleaned. But once it was cleaned, it could be my chi was much less. So Paiskim Mamekel on that. That's why we do a lighter bedika. Bedika doesn't take 4 or 5 hours. It's a little short, a little simach on the fact that it was cleaned beforehand, but nonetheless, one should be makbid to try to check, areas that chametz are brought to well. In other words, most of the houses, areas where chametz is not necessarily brought to, especially if you don't have little kids running around. So in the bedrooms, there's not really areas where shemachnisim b'chametz, so they don't really have to be checked. But the areas like the kitchen and the dining room and places where machnisim b'chametz is brought, one should check. Drawers that chametz are not put away in. Okay, so if you have children that open drawers, lower down drawers, you have to check. But otherwise, it's not really a makom shemachnisim b'chametz, but a place where chametz is brought, where you open the drawers while you eat chametz. If there's a cupboard you open while a person could be walking around eating chametz, that's also considered a makom shemachnisim b'chametz. Or a place where you store, we'll say you store your challah board or things like that. You should check places where you normally, the freezers, you should check. You store chametz in the freezer, you should check the freezer, make sure everything was removed. The refrigerator you should check downstairs. Every place where you could put chametz, there's a chiyuv din to check, and that should be checked well to make sure everything was removed from there.
Oh boy, I'm doing this all wrong. I thought it was merely symbolic that you just put like, 10. You take like 10 pieces of bread, you put one in each room.
Yeah.
And that's what I grew up with. We went, we looked,
No,
we got
you're
that stuff.
making sure your house is chametz free. So use your, there's a 6th Shulchan Aruch. You don't have to take a candle, look at every spot on the floor. The floor was shampooed and who knows what. What you need to do is think where chametz would be, where chametz would be kept, and make sure that all the chametz is removed. The vacuum bags, you should have a checklist. The vacuum bags have to be
But
removed.
isn't it already after the fact because you're cleaning the house for Pesach and the wife is going to start cooking a week before or 3 days before, so you're assuming there's no chametz anymore. So why are you doing this in the last minute? You should do it a week before then.
Yeah?
And
The
that's
truth is that if you're cooking in the kitchen, you should make sure there's no chametz in the kitchen.
That's what I was trying to say, is that it's already gone already by then. By the time
Yeah.
I do Bedikas Chametz, it's all gone.
But you never checked. You never went through the house to check. You could also check by chametz by areas where you can't see. You could feel. That's called a bedika. Put your hand in the drawer and you feel around. That's called bedika to check. The couch.
Or underneath the cushion.
Check under the cushions of the couch.
But you
The
already
areas to
did that
check.
when
You
you
use
cleaned
your
the house.
imagination. You'll come up with. You may actually find chametz. It could happen.
But you already cleaned the house with chametz. So it really is symbolic.
That's what I'm saying. You're making sure. That's what I'm saying. A lot of places can hold. You're making sure it's clean. Now, one of the reasons we put the 10 pieces of bread on, besides for the Kabbalistic reason, is because of this reason. Since we checked, we already cleaned the house. As soon as you put the 10 breads, the Gemara says that if a mouse pulls in a piece of bread into the house, one piece of bread into your house is now not chametz free. So you have a chiyuv to be buried into the house now to find that piece of bread. So once the 10 pieces of bread were put out, so your house becomes not b'cheskas bodik, even though your wife cleaned very hard and started already cooking, but your house is not b'cheskas bodik. For all you know, that piece of bread is in the kitchen. Your wife won't let. For all you know, it's in the kitchen. So you have to go and check it. It's not just.
You spend, I don't want to get too personal, but you spend like an hour doing Bedikas Chametz. I mean, how long does it take? Usually Bedikas Chametz, it takes like, 5-10 minutes.
You're talking about a clean house. It doesn't take so long because it's a clean house.
You've got to go through every room properly.
If you go through
Exactly.
it, if you go through it, takes. But
I'm just
again,
checking for that one piece that I know my daughter's stuck somewhere.
No. If you're going to check every room properly, you go through and under the beds and under the whatever.
Yeah, but I'm saying like this: if you don't have little kids in the house,
Yeah, it's
so
fine.
the bedrooms don't. What are you looking for? You can go through it quickly. I'm saying if you have children in the house, you can find chametz anywhere.
Thank you.
But this doesn't even make any sense. If we really had to do this is the time you pick. It's dark. You're walking around with a candle. I'm going to do a thorough check here. I can barely find myself. Never mind. It doesn't make any sense.
Try it. Did you ever try it? Try it.
No.
You can find stuff. Turn on the light and you should check the room. You should check the
I do it
room
in
with
the
the light
dark.
on first. Look around, see what you can find, and then you turn off the light, and then you check in the corners and in the nooks and crannies. Check what's around there. You can use a flashlight. You don't have to use a candle. You don't have to burn down your house. You start with a candle. You start with a candle. It's minute you You start with a candle a few minutes, and then you take over with the flashlight.
The other thing is this.
But you shouldn't just rely. You should turn on the light, look to see anything you can see, and then you turn off the light, and then check in
The other thing is, because they're putting out the 10 pieces of bread, in fact, there is no place in your house that is for sure chametz free.
once you put it out.
Yeah.
The Shabbos, once I find that bread,
one piece,
do I have to look further in the room?
Well,
I know there's
I
one
know-
piece of bread in the dining room.
I know there's 10 pieces of bread. I know somebody's got a list. They're not telling me.
Rabbi,
I like your idea about thinking about it, because what worries me the most is actually something that was obvious and was right in everybody's face.
Right.
Like a
You
little
forget about it.
little candy dish that still had some candy from Purim.
That's right.
Everyone would look at it. Was so used to seeing it there.
Yeah.
Forget.
Overlooked it. Right?
Forget.
Didn't think.
That's
It was,
right.
oh, look at
That's
that.
right. These things you could forget about. And the kids' knapsacks, there's always old lunches in there. You have to know where to look, and you may find something. The coat pockets, there's old stuff in the coat pockets. When do you check the coat pockets? You put something in. What?
Should you wait till last night or wait till before you put the Pesach in the night before that? You should check it then.
Well, if you're putting Pesach stuff in the freezer out, there's no chametz in there.
So you should do Bedikas the night before.
You might have forgot something. You might have forgot. Well, you can do Bedikas then.
$20, you should do the night before you put your Pesach.
No, you can do that. You could be Simon, you'll do Bedikas on. You could be Simon Chamer.
What is the status of things like your children's locker at school? Obviously, you can't check it.
Good show.
Who sells that?
a good shaila.
You could add that to your list.
So, well, the chametz itself belongs to your kids, so you have to sell the chametz. It doesn't belong to the school. The question is the space, if they can rent it out.
But when you sell your chametz, on the shtar, can't you put like...
You could put it on.
Locker number 64.
You could put it on,
yeah.
Yeah, you could put it on.
Yeah.
Now, before you go into that, what do we do, those of us that are leaving tonight? Like I'm leaving Thursday morning.
Those that are leaving early should do Bedika the night before they leave.
That's what I usually do, yeah.
Do Bedika the night before they leave. If you are selling your whole house, there's nothing to be biting. So you should at least leave a room or something open that you could be biting. Or if you're going somewhere, I assume you're going somewhere. So wherever you're going, if that place is somewhat rented to you, you could be biting. If you're going to someone's house and they're designating your room or something, you could give $1 for the room rented, and you could be biting.
My wife's very machman. We're going and we're coming back in the middle of the Pesach.
Look, if you're staying at a room, they're not going to check the room you're staying in, right? You're going to check it at the end of the day. So you might as well rent it from them. If you're there, you can rent it to them for $1 or something and check it. You can the night before, you can't make a bracha. If you do the Bedika earlier, you can't make a bracha. Only make a bracha on Leil Yud on your Leil Yud Gimel. So the night before, you can't make a bracha. So if you check
it later, but I probably won't get there. No, it's impossible.
No, but in his situation,
you can make it before you leave. If you don't have to go back to your office. If it's a big tircha, you don't have to go back. Yeah, without a bracha, yeah. If a person should check his car. Car is part of the Bedika. A person should check his car, make sure there's no chametz left in there. And like you're saying, his office and all these spaces should be checked also. Again, if it's a big tircha to go back at night, so then you could do it earlier.
Okay, but hang on. If I know I never bring chametz into my office, then it's not an issue.
No one else uses your office?
Right.
You're the only one that walks in there.
Well, then if it's not mine, I don't have to worry about it.
You have mice?
No.
No mice in the office?
No. No. Let's say I have a guy who I share the office with.
He doesn't bring any food in?
And he brings in food, but it's not my food. And it's not my office either, because I don't own the place.
Well, you should really check anyway. See, if it's crumbs or pieces that fall down, he's mafker, it's in your rishus. It's best to
that's not my rishus. If I work for other people...
Oh, it's not your office?
Not my office.
Oh, it's not your office, not your rishus, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so that's for Bedikas Chametz, more or less.
So in a situation where he's leaving and he can't make the bracha, so his chametz in the house that he doesn't find, heaven forbid there is any, that it's not bittul?
You do, so we explain this, we do three things. We do bittul chametz, you mevatel it, that takes care of all the rices. In mevatel chametz, you could mevatel even a whole loaf of bread. The whole question is that you may see the loaf of bread on Pesach, and maybe you'll feel it's such a shame that such a loaf of bread should go out in the garbage. Or B, you might accidentally forget. You're all groggy in the morning, you might come to eat it. So for those two reasons, we're Chazal Machayev Bedika, to check to make sure those things aren't around. And then we also sell. So we have three ways of getting rid of the chametz. But the bittul is taka the main way. So there's also other reasons why we're not saying.
And he can bittul chametz even though he's leaving the house.
He does bittul chametz. He gets rid of it. But Chazal Masak. That's why if a person is not in his house 30 days before, he's not going to be there. So he's ochi bedika taka. It could be mavad.
Why on that for the princes for the vacuum bags? You're not going to go into your vacuum bag and start eating.
You can rely on bittul, but because he won't check it, it's very dirty. It's disgusting, the stuff in there.
But maybe this is not the time to worry about the disgusting stuff. It's a vacuum bag because I have more things to
I hear. But the Evid, if he was mevatel it and he forgot to get rid of it, it's bottle,
Ideally, you should get rid of it.
Still get rid of it, yeah.
So
I miss this. I don't make a bracha if I don't do it on
So
you don't make a bracha if you don't do it.
Who's going to buy it? Everyone's working.
No, but let's say you leave town, right?
That's what he's talking
He's leaving town.
But where you are, you don't say on the 15th. You don't say.
Yeah, but let's say he's traveling Thursday. He's not going to be able to
I
Friday
said
morning.
that. Where you go, you could
You don't do it. You don't do it.
You do it.
The person should do beer chametz. He should leave over some chametz that he could burn. So machlokes if beer chametz is if beer chametz, the mitzvah is just not having chametz in your house, or the mitzvah is to actively go and destroy chametz. You eat breakfast this morning, you could have in mind, be kind of the sandwich and have in mind beer chametz and eat it. But the question is just not having chametz in your house. You have to actively destroy it. So according to some Scheiner, we actively destroy it. And then the question is, could you flush it down the toilet? Do you have to actually burn it? So the minhag is that to be to those shitas, we actually burn some chametz, and you don't have to burn all the chametz you find. You're going to burn a little bit of chametz. The rest you can get rid of other ways. But one should, for the 10 pieces of bread or whatever is chametz he does find left over, he should burn it.
So maybe that's another reason for the minhag.
Yeah, you want to have chametz around maybe. So one should get rid of his chametz, and he should burn it. Any chametz that was left around after the zman beer, there's a bigger chiyuv to burn. Once it was around after the zman, it was supposed to be destroyed, and you have left in the house. So that chametz is asab. No, you can't get rid of it. You can't be mafker yet. You can't get rid of it. The only way to get rid of it is by destroying it. In other words, bittul doesn't work at that point. Bittul doesn't work at that point, and
we're talking about after the 6th hour.
After the 6th hour, so bittul doesn't work, and even after the 5th hour, jabanan it's asabana, so shiloh. But so how do you get rid of it? So then you should actually destroy it. Flush down the toilet. Chatchila, you should burn it, but you don't want to leave it around to burn. It's going to take you too long to get the fire ready. Just flush it down.
So you're saying if you find a piece of bread then on the floor, for instance, after you did your chametz?
Yeah. So take it and flush it down.
Now what happens if you have chametz in the cupboards? Obviously you locked it up and you sold it and everything else.
It's not yours. That is a big shiloh.
So when you let's say you open it by mistake at the 6th hour.
Doesn't matter. It's not yours. Close it up.
Say hello.
So how about the loaf of bread that was on the floor?
It depends if you sold it or not.
No, it's a good question. There's a big question. Today, let's say in the middle of Pesach, you find some chametz, right? So halacha says on Pesach itself, so if you can burn it, so you cut for a kli, and then chalamoid you burn it. You get rid of it. Today, even on Pesach, it could be you could flush it down. There's other ways to get rid of it. But it's muksa chametz. There's a shiloh if you can move it. Second day, shiloh how to move it. But the question is like this. It's not your chametz. We sell in the shtar mechira. We sell any chametz that's in the house. We don't just sell what's locked off and says chametz on it. Once we're at it, we go after everything. It's a shiloh if the mechira works on all the chametz that's lying around the house. It's not chametz you're doing. You have no clue where it is. But the question is, you find a piece of chametz. It's actually a shiloh someone asked for vajna, Shevet Alevi. So does he have a right to burn it, or is he burning the guy's chametz? We sold it to the guy. Yeah.
Good point.
So maybe he shouldn't. Maybe he should just. What do you do if a guy's chametz is in your house? You have to put a machitz by it. So move it to the closet. Tell you don't touch it. You're not supposed to handle chametz. So put gloves on, or take a broom, move it to the closet and stick it in where it's sold. It belongs to him. Stick it back in his cupboard. So first he says that's what you should do. You don't have to burn the chametz. It's sold to the guy. You should stick it back in the closet. Rabbi said the oilam is noig to just burn the chametz, and the reason is because. The guy doesn't want it. The guy is selling back all the chametz at the end of Pesach. He doesn't need a piece of bread that's on the floor. So even though technically he burnt it, he doesn't mind if you. Technically it's his, but he doesn't mind if you burn it. So just to cover all sides, we destroy it.
The bigger problem, I think, is when it's not the goys and it's not yours, but you acquire it. It's always on Pesach where they deliver these free samples.
Yeah, what do you do with it?
That's a big problem.
I had that.
Really?
Yeah. You should have in mind not to be cutting it.
You're going to throw it away
once you pick it up, you have in mind not to be cutting it. You have in mind not to be cutting it.
You can have it in mind.
You can have in mind not to be cutting it. You can get a young child to pick it up and put it out on the curb.
Well, you have in mind
not to be cutting it.
That's if you're not actually touching chametz. It's packaging.
No, but you don't want to pick it up because if you cut it, you pick it up.
But if you have in mind that you're not cutting it.
Yeah, but it's better not to make a mamasha ma'asakin pick it up. It's better if you get a young child who could be not cutting it to just take it out to the street.
The garbage.
But it should be not in the garbage. It should be out of your rishus. It should be on the street.
Put it on the street.
Put it on the street. The worst comes to worst, they'll put a settle on. The garbage will come around. Hey, you put this out too early,
They do that?
Yeah, they do.
Unless the animals will bring it back every problem.
Well, like we said Shabbos that if you have extra garbage at the end that you weren't able to get rid of, here there's an arrangement to do with the city.
Right.
There's our bracha.
Garnet.
You can finally get rid of all your garbage. But Lamaisa, if you do have garbage that you didn't get rid of, you shouldn't put it in your garbage cans. You should put it in a bag. You put it on the street, and or put it on the curb. At least the curb could be belongs to the city.
But I'm saying this week by Garnet from Monday to Thursday they have free garbage.
Yeah.
If you have a
I
neighbor...
want to tell you something. You can go to the garbage dump. It's not far. It's on Credit Stone. It's right here. They charge you $10. You can empty out your whole house for $10.
Really?
So, yeah, I did it the other day because, I don't want to store that much garbage in my garage. So I just took it out.
A Credit Stone is where?
Computers there,
Chaya. Took me a 5 minutes to
whatever you want, they take.
As long as it's not hazardous material.
It's Credit Stone and where?
Credit Stone and the Highway 7. You make a right on Credit Stone.
Highway 7 or
right
Major
there.
Mackenzie?
Make another right.
Right there.
It's right there. Credit Stone, Highway 7.
Where's Credit Stone?
You look in the books there, they tell you where to go. But, here it's much more convenient. It's here, it's free, but, it's
Use like deals,
Yeah.
Use like deals.
Okay, I want to discuss a few minutes, a little bit the Seder. We discussed it yesterday on Shabbos, but we'll go back to a few things. First of all, I mentioned that this year Pesach is on Shabbos, so therefore the Achonis making the more you have to make before you can make on Shabbos. On Yom Tov you could, second days, you could grate the horseradish, you could grate it not into a kli, we do it a shina, you could grate it onto the table. You have to do a shina, grating is a malacha. But on Yom Tov it's mutter, it's a rechel nefesh, and the horseradish loses its taste if you grate it too early. So you're allowed to grate it, but you have to do a shina, so you do it on the table and then you put it into a bowl rather than doing it directly on the bowl. That you can do on Yom Tov. On Shabbos you're not allowed, so it must be done before Shabbos. Another thing which I didn't mention should be done before Shabbos is salt water. You're not allowed to prepare the salt water on Shabbos and Yom Tov. That has to be made before. This is also the preparation should be made before. Now, if you forgot to make the salt water, you're allowed to make, even on Shabbos, you're allowed to make a small amount that's just necessary, needed for the Seder, not more. Plus, you can't put, which I assume most people don't do, you can't put 2/3 salt and 1/3 water. That's already ibud. You're not allowed to do that on Shabbos. But less than that, you could do if you make a small amount just for the Seder, b'diavad, if you didn't make it before. But it should be set ready before Shabbos to see how it comes out on Shabbos.
The salt water and what else?
Charaisis also, whatever you have to, in the Avlisha problems, whatever you do, it should be done before. It's coming on Shabbos.
I understand there was a problem with the time in the COR and the MK booklet, so they brought out, there was a time when out to Shabbos, so you could start preparing for the second day. It was too early.
I don't know. I didn't check it. I don't know. I'll look.
Has to be after Shabbos.
Yeah, I suppose whatever you keep, 45 minutes, 50, whatever you keep.
If something's mutter on Yom Tov, why do you need a shinui? If it's mutter, it's mutter. No,
it's not 100% mutter tchila. Certain malachas are like cooking, but certain malachas aren't 100% mutter, because malachas that could have been done before are now mutter. Bishul is not fresh to cook the day before. So tchila is a shayla. That's hilchas Yom Tov, yeah. We spoke about a little bit. We spoke about the matzah on Shabbos. So we mentioned that we eat 5 kazesim of matzah. Right? We eat 5 kazesim of matzah. We mentioned how much a kazais is, but before we get into that, 5 kazesim of matzah. We eat 2 by motzi matzah, 1 by the kairach, and then we do another 2 by the afikoyman. And halacha, there's a whole mavucha where we get so many kazaisim from. The Torah says eat 1 kazais. So it's important to understand it. So not everybody can eat all 5 kazaisim, and especially matzah. That's not bread. Bread goes down very quickly, and you have to eat it in the shir of kadei achilas pras, which is l'chatchila 2 minutes. You should eat the kazayis within 2 minutes.
No. People want 2 minutes.
Of course. They go in 2 minutes.
6 minutes.
Definitely shouldn't stretch it to more than 3 minutes.
4 minutes is the
4 minutes is Moshe, but it should be done either before 2 minutes or before 3 minutes. It's once a year. I want to tell you something. I had a neighbor in Farakaway. He's not around anymore. He had a tumor. Unfortunately, he had a tumor in his brain, and he was he's a principal school teacher for English. Anyways, so he was very difficult for him to eat. At one point, he couldn't chew, he couldn't swallow anything. He practiced for a month before Pesach.
2 months before. Couldn't have a matzah.
No, you couldn't have. For this reasons, he could have. He practiced eating matzah, chewing it and swallowing it, so he should know. He should be able to swallow it down. You could drink that. You could put it in the cup and drink it. But, it's not should be used in a mitzvah. So he practiced literally to train himself to be able to swallow matzah. He should be able to do the mitzvah. If once a year we have a mitzvah of eating matzah, let's try to do it right. It's not like you have to do it every day. You do it once a year. So
it's a mamish 2 minutes. Huh?
But it's not so hard. It's a kazayis. You don't eat 5 kazayis in 2 minutes. You have to eat 1 kazayis in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's the problem. People take more than kazayis.
Yeah.
Well, you're eating 2 kazayis. I mean, you're eating 2/3. From what I heard, Shabbos, 1 kazayis is 1/3 of the matzah, right?
1 kazayis deraisa. 1/5 is really a kazayis. So let's see. So what's the where does this come from? So there's a machlokes rishonim. We have 3 matzahs, but Mikra then it's really 2 matzahs. The top one, and then the middle one is the prusa, the one that's broken. The bottom one is just to make lecha mishnah because you want 2 whole matzahs for lecha mishnah. So we do the top and the bottom. That's why you make hamoitzi lechem and arts. We hold all 3, and then you let go of the bottom one, and you make achilus matzah on the top 2, because we'll see. But the bottom one is just there for lecha mishnah. The goyin and others hold that you don't need a bottom one. They only have 2 matzahs, because the bottom one for lecha mishnah you can use a prusa for lecha mishnah they held. So they didn't need 3. But the most accepted minhag today is that you use 3 matzahs. So the top and the bottom one is lecha mishnah, and the prusa, the middle one, is.
So what did they use for kairach?
They use any matzah.
It wasn't part of the Seder plate.
You got this?
Yeah. Or you have enough in your matzah. Depends how big your kazayis is.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if you the reason we use the top and the middle one for moitzi and matzah.
Yeah. So the first one is the bottom. So now, but the shaila is, which one of these 2 matzahs are you making a bracha on? Mm-hmm. So there's machlokes rishonim. The ikab sak halacha is, it's mamash a big machlokes rishonim. The ikab sak halacha is that the top one is for your lecha mishnah, and the middle one, the broken one, that's for your achilus matzah, is really going on the middle one. So there's some rishonim that hold vice versa, that the top one is your achilus matzah, the yotzi achilus matzah, the top one, and that's why the Mishnah says that's why we eat a kazayis of both matzahs, because maybe the first one is your moitzi matzah. Maybe your middle one is your moitzi matzah. So you take a kazayis from each one. Others say...
Why isn't that when you're combining the 2, that you have kazayis from the 2?
Because you want to have a kazayis on the one you're making the bracha on. Which one are you supposed to eat? Which one are you supposed to make your moitzi matzah on? The broken one?
Kazayis on the one that you made a bracha on? Is it kazayis of matzah?
No. Your kazayis is I can take matzah from the middle of the table also. But l'chatchila you have your kazayis from the matzah that you make the bracha.
So that's only good for you.
Oh, one second. Now, so that's why we got the kazayis from the top one and kazayis from the bottom. Also, for the lecha mishnah, some say you should have a kazayis from that matzah. So we have a kazayis from each one. Mishnah Berurah says that it's tamua. Ikadova tamua ma'oid. So we never found. Where do you find anywhere that says you have to eat 2 kazayisim? No, find it says you have to eat a kazayis. All of a sudden I have to eat a kazayis from each one. So he goes on, but basically, and who said just can make a bracha on it like you're saying? Who says just can make a bracha on it? You have to eat a whole kazayis. So this din is tamur, as Mishnah Berurah says. Rabbi Halacha says he doesn't argue on the din, but he says it's tamur. It's a wonder where we got this. You have to eat 2 kazayis. That coupled with the fact that the Poiske that today the Rabbi Yashav writes and the Chaim Kanievsky and others, that this halacha l'chayra should only apply to the person that's running the Seder, and he has the 2 matzahs. But not everybody's eating a kazayis from these 2 matzahs. You have 10 people at the Seder, they're eating from the middle of the plate. So they for sure shouldn't need 2 kazayis. They only need 1 kazayis. So the Yashav says, they only have to have 1 kazayis. Well, Maisa says 2 kazayis, even though we don't know where it came from. So the Olam is not to take 2 kazayis, but Me'ikra Din, the Chiv is only 1 kazayis. And therefore, we said on Shabbos, that a kazayis doiraisa, because the skatnu ashiurim, the shiurim are by the time Rabbi Yehuda came up with a tzlach, when he measured the kazesim, he found it to be much smaller than the shear the Gemara brings. He measured the eggs, and he measured the things, and it came out much shorter. So he came out that it got smaller. Everything got smaller.
The measurements got
smaller. No, the eggs got smaller. The Meraglim took the grapes; they were huge. Things got smaller over time.
So today, if you were a Kazayas, so you'd be looking at a fifth or a third.
So the today's kazesim is about it's all average because every matzah is different size. The round matzahs are different sizes. So you're talking about a fifth of a hand matzah. A fifth of a hand matzah is be'erach a kazayas today of an average size hand matzah. Wait. Let me just finish. A fifth of it is a kazayas. But since we doubled the shiurim, so for the doraisa, for the chiyuv doraisa, so it's best to have a third of a hand matzah for your first kazayas. But the third, you don't have to have 2/3 because you could be yoitze your second kazayas, which is only a chumra b'alma. It's not clear where it came from. You could yoitze that with the drabanans. So you yoitze that with.
But we give your family a piece of that kazayas.
So you can give a little piece, but you should keep for yourself a share.
You have to have a third.
You should keep for yourself a share. So whoever's running, it's preferable that any boy on the bar mitzvah over bar mitzvah share of his own matzah, he should make the bracha on over bar mitzvah, let him make his own bracha, and you should keep from your matzah a kazayas that you could eat. You made the bracha on.
So when you everything 2 kazayim, one from the top and one from the bottom, it's 2/5.
It's 2/5, but you can be yoitz with a third because it's not exactly a fifth.
So take enough that altogether I have a third
is enough.
Okay,
yeah.
but you're saying I have to have a kazayim and the kazayim.
The stipler used to take, I mentioned on Shabbos, the size of his hand.
Exactly.
He used to give out the size of his hands to everybody. He was machmir on himself. He had 2 sizes of his hands. I assume from the top and the middle matzah, he took a size from each one.
The top one or the middle one? Which one are we supposed to eat?
The ikka one is the middle one. The ikka one is the middle one, yes.
So you've got a half a matzah, because you broke it already. From that half matzah, approximately how much is a kazayas?
Well, you could take a fifth from the bottom one, and you could take a fifth from the top one.
Yeah, but you don't have a fifth of a matzah, you only have a half a matzah there.
The middle one.
You have a half, so you take a fifth of a half. Figure it out. A fifth of the whole matzah. Not a fifth of a half, a fifth of the whole matzah.
Yeah.
Depends how evenly you broke it. Yeah.
You get a third of the half matzah.
So the whole kazayas, are you saying that the easy way to measure is the hand?
Now it says that we have to hurry up here. It says that you should. It says that now the ikka halacha is, don't jump on me here. The ikka halacha is it's a share by itself, but there's an outstanding mechaber here that says if you eat a half a kazayas and then you wait and then you eat another half a kazayas, even if you eat it within 2 minutes, it says yotza. The Matza Magen Avraham says mashma yotza b'diavad. So the Mishabur brings down that l'chatchila you should eat it in one shot. You should swallow it together. In other words, you should chew the kazayas, and then swallow it at once. We won't get into the lumdus where this comes from. That's a share by itself. It's not so easy to do.
No.
I try it every year. I'm not too successful.
But if a person is not well and has to eat a minimum amount, does that mean that he could eat
a fifth of a
matzah in 2 sections?
He should eat a fifth of matzah, and he should try to do as quick as he could. If he could do 2 minutes, he could do 3 minutes, he could do 4 minutes, up to 9 minutes could he have it.
In a situation where the person I work with, you said that there could be a separation. He could eat half of it at one point and half at another point.
No.
You're saying connecting?
No. So it has to be together. It has to be within the share of achilas pras. It has to be within the 2 minutes or 3 minutes.
Okay.
Chatchila should have mamash at once.
Do you have 2 minutes from when you make the bracha?
No. From when you swallow.
You miss what I'm saying. Let's say you make the bracha.
Yeah.
You eat a little bit. Then you start passing around to your family. And then you'll eat your kazayas within 2 minutes. That's not good.
Yeah, you can eat your kazayas within 2 minutes.
No. You make the bracha, you have a small piece.
You have to eat one kazayas within 2 minutes.
Anytime during.
Okay. But the best thing is not
how do you pass the stuff to your wife?
You shouldn't do it like that.
How do you do it then?
You should have it ready. You should have...
It's not broken yet. How do you have it ready?
You're not giving from your matzah.
A part of it you are, a little
part bit. Part of it doesn't take so long. You have the pieces of matzah ready.
10 people there.
Look, you take a piece of the matzah.
Right.
You have it set up beforehand.
Right.
Everybody should have their matzah.
Okay.
And then then you break off a piece, and you let them pass it around. Each person will pass a little piece on.
But isn't it like bread? You're even if you were to take a little piece of matzah, his 2 minutes really. It has to be. He has to eat that right amount of matzah within 2 minutes. So if he took a little piece of matzah.
Yeah.
And he passes around, let's say it takes, I'll make it up, 30 seconds.
I know, but it's not the best way to do it.
It's not.
Once you start eating, you already started eating the mitzvah.
But
your yaitza, as long as you have a kazayis.
But isn't it similar to, like, if you go to a chasana, right?
Yeah.
And, people will wash and they take a bite of bread, etc.
Yeah.
So you're not eligible for benching until you've had,
it's
right?
True.
So isn't it the same idea or not?
It could be yaitza like that. But the best thing is once you start eating to...
really should best to do it all.
Make a bracha and then you give everybody their matzah. Then you start eating your own.
Give them a piece, right?
Give them a piece.
How do they do that?
You make a bracha,
you don't
then
have to
you
pass
start
it around.
breaking it up
You
for
break it,
everybody,
pass
and
the
then you
plate.
start eating.
Make a bracha, break a piece off, give it to your wife, and let her pass it around.
You put it on a plate. It's not your problem. You don't have to pass it around.
No, let them pass it around.
Send it down the table.
They should have enough matzah by them that they can be yaitza. They don't even need your piece. They don't need your piece. They want the piece, they can take it. They don't need it. They have matzah.
So they have it right there. Oh, they don't need my piece.
They don't need it, but if you want to pass it around, they should have
No,
a piece.
how else do they have Lacha Mishnah?
Yeah, if they want to have the yaitza, the Indian lechem mishnah, so you give them a piece on the top, they can take it. But ikar matzah, the bracha, they can yaitza on any matzah that's on the table.
Should they be making their own bracha on their matzah?
Women are required to have the same matzah.
Should they be making their own bracha on their own matzah at that point? Or are they yaitza?
Some people make their own, some people are yaitza with the person that makes it on the shleimus. But then most people do it yaitza with the one that has the lechem mishnah.
So again, they need a piece of yours for the Lacha Mishnah.
Lechem mishnah, you don't need, you can take it. Because you're yaitza with everything on the table.
But the Rosh Kol is saying you don't have to have that.
You're yaitza without it.
You're yaitza matzah, but Lacha Mishnah is not yaitza.
You made a bracha, moitzi lechem and aretz, and there's bread on the table. They can be yaitza with that.
Sorry, that's actually was a good question. He was just asking. So does the 2 minutes start from when you're chewing, or actually your first swallow?
There's a shiloh about that. There's a shiloh because the tam matzah cooked. But you can start counting from when you swallow.
2 minutes is nothing. Yeah. 2 minutes is nothing. You're right.
But it's time. It's time. Time it. From when you swallow till you finish. Time it. And one kazayis. You don't have to have 5 kazayis in 2 minutes.
But you have 2 kazayis.
You have 2 kazayis. So you have 4 minutes.
Well, it's a third of a matzah.
So you have 4 minutes. 2 kazayis.
So you can do a third of a matzah in 2 minutes.
You can, hey?
I think so.
You try it. Okay, you'll see. Without shoveling it down.
But it doesn't start. The 2 minutes doesn't start till you swallow.
Okay, you see.
Keep starts one.
Try it.
We'll talk after.
We'll talk after, if we can.
When you have 4 minutes, can you rest between one kazayis and the other one?
No, because the Raisa was saying a kazayis. You want to be yaitza the biggest share kazayis.
2 minutes. It's 4 minutes.
Right, because it's 4 minutes. You can do 2 and 2.
Well, no, it's more. Why?
If you get the whole thing early, faster, it's better. But because you want to be yaitza the Raisa.
But the Raisa though should be 2 minutes, not 4 minutes.
If you could.
You can do it.
Practice it. It's not so hard to get it within 2 minutes. It's hard to get it at one shot.
Yeah.
2 minutes is not so hard.
No, it's not that.
Now, that's for the first spots. That's for the first kazayis.
Right.
First 2. The afikoymen, what is afikoymen? We know where it comes. Koyach is only to Abon, you can have a fifth of a matzah for that. Now, the afikoymen is a shailum v'shaimnim, which is your real. It's very interesting. The question is, which is my real matzah? Is my real matzah the first matzah that I eat, or my real matzah the afikoymen? Even though I make the alachilus matzah in the beginning,
right.
So the Rishram and the Rishonim say that's because you're going to eat matzah. It doesn't make sense to make an achilus matzah after you fill your stomach with matzah. So you make the achilus matzah right away, even though your ikar matzah you're being yaitza with maybe the afikoyim, it's machlokes Rishonim. So again, ikar halacha we hold the first kazayis yaitza with, but we're yaitza with a shitza, so the afikoyim also should have a kazayis deraisa. Should have a kazayis deraisa, which is a third.
2 minutes.
Yeah, but they can make it maybe 3 minutes for afikoyim.
Coming in 2 minutes.
Even if it's 4 minutes.
Afikoyim, do you have 1 kazayis?
So we have 1 kazayis or 2 kazaysim. So again, it says 2 kazaysim. The question is, where does that come from? One zeichel chagigo, one zeichel for the common Pesach. They're in Yonah, but meikar adin is 1 kazayis. But again, if you want to be yoytze the Doraisa, our 1 kazayis Doraisa is like 2 kazayis Dorabanan. So it basically comes out to the same share, which is a third. If a person can't, so it takes a little less,
you don't need it 2
that's,
times a third.
No.
One of it.
So a third is equivalent to kazayt.
There's two kazaysim and one kazay is deraisa, and there is afikoyim. I mentioned in Shabbos. That the Rambam says that the Korban Pesach itself they used to eat. The Shals had to eat the Korban Pesach. They ate a meal also. Did they eat the whole Korban Pesach in the beginning? Mamash the same child as the matzah. Did they eat in the beginning? Did they eat after the end of the meal? When did they eat the Korban Pesach? So the Rambam said they ate a kazayis in the beginning, and then they ate whatever they wanted. They had the soup, whatever they wanted to eat. And then at the end of the meal, to leave the tam Pesach, the piv, they ate the kazayis and the Korban Pesach at the end. It's the Rambam Shita. So we had two kazaysim. Some say that's why we have two kazaysim at the beginning and at the end. But either way,
don't Rabbi Shalom hold that you only eat Korban Pesach at the end?
Because it has to be nechal al-soiva. The question, right. It's a big question, nechal al-soiva, but again, you have the same shaila. As soon as you eat, you make a bracha, you eat the chagig, you eat the Korban Pesach. But what about the rest of the meal?
You had a separate bracha on the chagig, you had a separate bracha on the Korban Pesach.
Yeah. So the question is, when do you eat the Korban Pesach? That's the shaila. Akapodim, you shouldn't be too full from the meal. You shouldn't eat too much during the meal, because Korban Pesach is nechal al-soiva, but you don't want it to be achil gasa. You're so stuffed I can't get down to Safik anymore. That's not the proper way to be Yitzhak a mitzvah. You should leave over room for dessert, as they say.
Never
you should leave over room for the Afikoyman, that you should be able to eat it properly, the teyavan.
So for each person, one whole matzah for the Seder.
That's enough.
Plus 1/3.
A third and a fifth.
2/3 and a fifth.
One matzah is more than enough.
A third and a fifth.
Yeah, more than enough. One matzah is more than enough per person.
2/3 and a fifth.